"Your wife looks like she ate all the Christmas cookies before dinner," my father announced during his toast, gesturing at my pregnant wife Emma with his wine glass. The room fell silent. 27 family members stared as Emma's face crumbled. She was 8 months pregnant with our first child, wearing a beautiful red dress I'd bought her specially for tonight. Dad continued, apparently oblivious to the horrified faces around him. "When I married your mother, women knew how to maintain themselves during pregnancy, not blow up like balloons." Emma stood up abruptly, tears streaming. "Excuse me," she whispered, rushing toward the bathroom. I started to follow, but Dad grabbed my arm. "Let her go, son. Hormones make them emotional. She needs to toughen up." That's when my younger brother Luke stood up, his face dark with rage I'd never seen before. "You're a disgusting old man," he said quietly. "And I'm done pretending you're not." Dad's face went purple. "How dare you speak to me like that in my own house?" "This isn't your house," Luke said calmly. "It's Mom's house, and you've poisoned it long enough." Mom sat frozen at the other end of the table, her hands shaking. She'd endured Dad's cruelty for 35 years. But Luke apparently had reached his limit. To understand that Christmas explosion, you need to know our family history. Dad had always been cruel, disguising it as honesty or humor. He mocked Mom's weight, my career choices, Luke's sexuality he didn't know about, and anything that made him feel superior. Emma and I had been married 3 years. She tried so hard to win Dad's approval, cooking his favorite meals, remembering his birthday, laughing at his mean jokes. Nothing worked. He called her the banker because she worked at a credit union, saying it mockingly like she thought she was better than us. When we announced the pregnancy in June, his first comment was, "Hope it doesn't inherit her nose." Emma had cried the whole drive home. "Don't let him get to you," I'd said weakly. "That's just how he is." "Then why do we keep subjecting ourselves to it?" she'd asked. I didn't have a good answer. Family obligation, fear of confrontation, pathetic hope he'd change? Luke had been documenting Dad's behavior for 2 years. Videos, recordings, screenshots of texts. "For when Mom finally leaves him," he told me. But Mom never left. She'd shrunk instead, becoming quieter each year. This Christmas was supposed to be special. Emma's first as part of the family while pregnant. We'd driven 3 hours despite her discomfort because Dad demanded everyone attend. As I continue, please subscribe, comment, like, and share this video. I found Emma in the bathroom sobbing. Her beautiful dress was stained with tears, her carefully done makeup ruined. "I can't do this anymore," she said. "Your father hates me." "He doesn't hate you," I said weakly. "He's just—" "Stop," she interrupted. "Stop making excuses for him. He's cruel, and you let him be cruel to me." The truth stung because she was right. I'd been a coward, choosing peace over protecting my wife. "We're leaving," I said. "Right now." "He'll make a scene," Emma worried. "Let him," I said, finally finding courage. "You and our baby matter more than his tantrums." We walked back toward the dining room to get our coats, but stopped when we heard Luke's raised voice. He was standing now, addressing the entire family while Dad sat stunned. "Every Christmas, every birthday, every family gathering, we all sit here while you abuse everyone," Luke was saying. "Mom's too scared to speak. Nathan's too polite. But I'm done being silent." "You ungrateful," Dad started. "I'm gay, Dad," Luke announced suddenly. "Been with my partner David for 5 years. You've met him dozen times, called him my roommate. We're getting married next spring." The room gasped. Dad's face went from purple to white. "And before you say something horrible," Luke continued, "know that I've recorded every cruel thing you've said for 2 years. Luke pulled out his phone, connecting it to the Bluetooth speaker Mom used for Christmas music. Dad's voice filled the room. "Emma's getting fat. Probably eating her feelings about marrying into this family." Another clip. "Your mother's too stupid to understand the TV remote." Another. "Luke's probably gay. Too weak to be a real man. And worse. So much worse. racial slurs about our cousin's husband, mocking our aunt's cancer diagnosis, calling our teenage cousin retarded for having dyslexia. The family sat in stunned silence as Luke played clip after clip. Years of cruelty we'd all witnessed but never confronted, now undeniable in audio. Mom was crying silently. Our aunts and uncles looked horrified. The younger cousins were recording everything on their phones. "Turn it off," Dad demanded, standing up. "Sit down, Robert," Mom said suddenly, her voice stronger than I'd heard in years. "Let everyone hear who you really are." Dad turned to her, shocked. "You're my wife. You're supposed to support me." "I've supported you for 35 years, Mom said, standing too. "While you destroyed my self-esteem and taught our sons that cruelty is acceptable." Emma squeezed my hand. "We watched this revolution we'd never expected. You've humiliated Emma at every opportunity," Mom continued, finding her voice. "She's carrying your grandchild, and you made her cry on Christmas Eve." "She's too sensitive," Dad protested. "She's human," Luke shot back. "Something you forgot how to be long ago." Our Uncle James, Dad's brother, stood up. "Robert, I've watched you bully this family for decades. I stayed quiet to keep peace. That was wrong. You too." Dad looked around wildly. "This is a conspiracy. It's an intervention," our Aunt Patricia said. "You're a bully, Robert. Always have been." More family members started speaking up. Stories of Dad's cruelty over the years. The cousin whose wedding he'd ruined with drunk, inappropriate toasts. The nephew he'd mocked into an eating disorder. The sister-in-law he'd made feel unwelcome for 20 years. Each story was another brick in the wall of evidence against him. Dad tried to deflect, blame, minimize. But Luke had recordings countering every excuse. "You can't record me without permission," Dad shouted. "Actually, I can," Luke said calmly. "One-party consent state." And these were all in public spaces or group settings. The legal precision surprised me. Luke had done his homework. This wasn't spontaneous. This was planned. "Get out," Dad said finally. "All of you, get out of my house." "It's not your house," Mom said quietly. "My inheritance from my mother bought this house. My name is on the deed. You get out." The room went silent. Dad stared at Mom in shock. "You wouldn't dare." "Watch me," Mom said. "I've already seen a lawyer. The papers are in my car. I was going to wait until after Christmas, but you've made that impossible." She turned to Emma. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart. You deserved better from this family. From me, for not protecting you sooner." Emma was crying again, but differently. Relief, maybe, or validation. "Nathan," Mom continued, looking at me. "You're just like I was. Avoiding conflict, enabling abuse through silence. Don't make Emma suffer for 35 years like I did." The shame was overwhelming. She was right. I've been a coward just like her. "And Luke," Mom's voice softened, "my brave boy, thank you for doing what I couldn't." Luke walked over and hugged her. "We're all getting out," he said. "Tonight. Together." "You can't be serious," Dad sputtered. "This is insane." "No," Mom said. "This is consequence. Something you've never faced." Dad tried everything. Anger, threats, then suddenly switching to manipulation. "Helen, honey, let's talk privately. These kids have confused you." "The only confused one here is you," Mom replied. "Confused about why your family finally has had enough." "It's Christmas Eve," Dad pleaded. "Exactly," Emma said, finding her voice. "Christmas Eve, and you called me fat in front of everyone, while I'm carrying your grandchild." "I was joking," Dad protested. "Jokes are funny," our teenage cousin said from the corner. "You're just mean." Even the kids were turning on him. Dad looked around the room, realizing he had no allies. "Fine," he snarled. "You're all too sensitive anyway. Bunch of snowflakes who can't take honest observations." "Honest observations?" Luke laughed bitterly. "Let me give you some honest observations." He pulled out a folder from his bag. 3 DUIs you hid from Mom. The affair with your secretary in 2015. The $60,000 you lost gambling and borrowed from Mom's retirement to cover. Mom gasped. You said that was for business investments. He lied, Luke said. I hired a private investigator 6 months ago. Here's everything. The folder was thick with evidence. Bank statements, photos, court documents. Luke had been planning this for longer than we knew. You investigated me? Dad raged at Luke. You investigated your own father? You're not a father, Luke said coldly. You're a bully who happened to reproduce. The room erupted. Dad lunged at Luke, but Uncle James and our cousin Marcus held him back. Call the police, Mom said calmly. He's threatening violence. You wouldn't, Dad said, struggling against the restraint. Try me, Mom replied, already dialing. Dad broke free and stormed toward the door. You'll all regret this, he shouted. When you need me, I won't be there. Promise, Luke called after him. Dad slammed the door so hard a picture fell off the wall. It was his portrait from his company retirement. The glass shattered. Leave it, Mom said when someone moved to clean it. It's fitting. We all stood in shocked silence for a moment. Then Emma started laughing. Not hysteria, but genuine relief. He's gone, she said. He's actually gone. Not just gone, Mom said, pulling out her phone. Watch this. She activated something on an app. We heard Dad's car try to start in the driveway. Nothing. I had a kill switch installed last month, Mom explained. The lawyer's idea, in case he tried to drive drunk again. Dad came storming back in. What did you do to my car? My car, Mom corrected. I paid for it, like everything else you claim to own. This is illegal detention, Dad shouted. Call yourself an Uber, Luke suggested. Though I doubt any driver would want you in their car. Dad pulled out his phone, then stopped. My credit cards aren't working. I canceled them, Mom said simply. Joint accounts, my right to freeze them. You'll need to use your personal account. I don't have money in that account, Dad admitted quietly. Because you spent it all gambling, Luke added helpfully. The transformation was stunning. The tyrant who'd terrorized our family for decades, reduced to a pathetic old man with no car, no money, and no one willing to help him. Someone drive me to a hotel, he demanded. Silence. No one moved. It's Christmas Eve, he tried. Most hotels are full. Should have thought of that before insulting my wife, I said, finally finding my voice. Your pregnant wife, Emma added. Who's beautiful, by the way? Beautiful and brave, Luke agreed. Unlike some people who peaked in high school and have been bitter ever since. Dad finally called a taxi, waiting outside in the cold because Mom locked the door behind him. We watched through the window as he stood in the driveway. An expensive coat, but no power left. I feel bad, someone said quietly. Don't, Mom replied. He's made every Christmas miserable for 35 years. This is justice. The taxi finally arrived. Dad got in without looking back. We watched until the taillights disappeared. Now, Mom said, turning to face us all. Let's have the Christmas we deserve. The transformation was immediate. People started laughing, really laughing. Music was turned on. Wine was opened. The tension that had suffocated every family gathering evaporated. Emma sat back down, color returning to her face. I'm sorry you had to go through that, Mom told her. But I'm glad it finally happened. Me too, Emma said. I was ready to never come back. You wouldn't have had to, I said. I should have stood up to him years ago. You're standing now, Luke said. That's what matters. We ate dinner in peace for the first time ever. No one flinching when footsteps approached. No one tensing when someone spoke. Just family, real family, enjoying each other. As dinner wound down, Mom clinked her glass. I have an announcement. I'm filing for divorce tomorrow. Well, technically Monday, since tomorrow's Christmas. Cheers erupted. Actual cheers for a divorce announcement on Christmas Eve. I've been planning this for a year, Mom continued. Luke's been helping me. The lawyer says with the evidence of affairs and financial abuse, I'll get everything. You deserve everything, Aunt Patricia said. You've earned it through suffering. No more suffering, Mom declared. This house is going to be filled with love now. Real love, not the performance we've been doing. Speaking of love, Luke said, standing, I want to properly introduce David, my fiancé. He video called David, who was with his own family. The phone was passed around, everyone welcoming him properly for the first time. I'm sorry about Robert, Mom told David. He won't be a problem anymore. Luke's family is my family, David said. The good parts, anyway. Just the good parts from now on, Mom promised. Emma was glowing now, the stress gone from her face. This is the best Christmas gift, she said. Not having to dread family gatherings anymore. Never again, I promised. Our child will only know love from this family. Around midnight, after most people had left, just immediate family remained. Mom, Luke, Emma, and me sitting around the fire. How long were you planning this? I asked Luke. Since Emma's birthday dinner, he said. When Dad made her cry over the cake. I decided enough was enough. But the investigation, the recordings. 6 months of work, Luke admitted. I wanted it airtight. No way for him to wriggle out or gaslight us. You saved us, Mom said simply. We saved each other, Luke corrected. Finally, Emma yawned, exhausted from the emotional evening. We should go, I said. You need rest. Stay, Mom insisted. Your old room is ready. Both of you. This is your home too. We stayed. For the first time in my adult life, I slept peacefully in my childhood home. No fear of morning confrontations, no walking on eggshells. Dad texted me around 2 a.m. Your brother poisoned everyone against me. You'll see the truth eventually. I deleted it without responding, then blocked his number. Emma did the same. The truth was already clear. We'd been poisoned by him, and Luke had provided the antidote. Christmas morning was surreal, peaceful. Mom made breakfast without criticism hanging over her. Emma helped without being mocked. Luke and David arrived early, David finally comfortable enough to come. First Christmas without the dragon, David said. How does it feel? Like Christmas should feel, Mom replied. Joyful, safe, loving. We opened presents without Dad's running commentary about wasted money or poor choices. Emma opened a gift from Mom, a beautiful necklace. For the strongest daughter-in-law a mother could ask for, Mom said. Emma cried, good tears this time. You stood up to him, Mom continued. Even when we didn't. You never normalized his cruelty. I couldn't, Emma said. My family isn't perfect, but they're not cruel. Neither is ours anymore, Luke said firmly. Around noon, other family members started arriving. Everyone who'd been there last night, coming back to celebrate properly. Is it safe? Our teenage cousin asked dramatically. The monster's gone? Gone for good, Mom assured her. The house filled with a joy I'd never felt there before. Genuine laughter, not nervous. Real conversations, not careful ones. Children playing without fear of criticism. That afternoon, Aunt Patricia pulled me aside. Your father called my husband. Wanted to borrow money for a hotel. And, I asked. We said no, she replied. He made his bed for 35 years. Time to lie in it. Where's he staying? I asked, surprised. I felt concern. His mother's, Patricia said. Grandma Reynolds? She's 93. And meaner than him, Patricia reminded me. They deserve each other. It was true. Dad's mother was the only person crueler than him. She'd probably spend the entire visit telling him what a disappointment he was. Karma. Do you think he'll change? I asked. Patricia laughed. Men like your father don't change. They just find new victims or die alone. That's harsh, I said. That's reality, she countered. Your mom and Emma were his victims. Now they're free. Don't waste energy feeling guilty. She was right. Dad had chosen cruelty for decades. One night of consequences didn't erase that. Back in the living room, Emma was showing ultrasound photos to everyone. The baby was due in 6 weeks. What will you tell them about their grandfather? Someone asked. Emma looked at me, then at Mom. The truth, she said simply. Age-appropriate truth, but truth. Luke stood up, raising his glass of cider. A toast, he announced. To Mom, who found her courage. To Emma, who never deserved the treatment she got. To Nathan, who finally chose his real family. And to everyone here who spoke up last night. To Luke, Mom added, who saved us all with preparation and bravery. We toasted, but Luke wasn't done. I need to apologize, he said, for taking so long. I watched him hurt everyone for years before I acted.
I'm sorry.
You acted when you could, Mom said. That's all anyone can do. I should have protected Emma sooner, Luke said, looking at my wife. You've been taking his abuse for 3 years. You protected me when it mattered most, Emma replied. Last night, when I couldn't protect myself, they hugged, and I felt shame again. My younger brother had protected my wife better than I had. I'm sorry too, I said to Emma. For every time I said, that's just how he is instead of standing up to him. You're standing now, she repeated Luke's earlier words. We're all learning. No more learning, Mom said firmly. We know now. Cruelty is unacceptable, family or not. The day after Christmas, Mom met with her lawyer. Luke and I went with her for support. The lawyer, a sharp woman named Catherine, laid out Mom's options. With the evidence of financial abuse and infidelity, you'll likely get the house, retirement accounts, and alimony, she said. He hid $60,000 in gambling losses? Catherine asked, reviewing Luke's folder. That's criminal fraud in a marriage. I don't want to send him to jail, Mom said quietly. Just want to be free. Freedom costs him everything else, Catherine noted. Fair trade for 35 years of abuse. Mom signed the papers with a steady hand. No tears, no hesitation. Just determination. How long? She asked. If he doesn't contest, 6 months, Catherine said. If he fights, maybe a year. He'll fight, Luke predicted. He's too proud not to. Then he'll lose bigger, Catherine smiled. I've seen his type before. They always overplay their hand. We left the office lighter. Mom treated us to lunch at a restaurant Dad had always called too expensive. Order whatever you want, she said. We're celebrating freedom. Emma joined us, glowing with pregnancy and relief. How are you feeling? Mom asked her. Free, Emma said simply. Like I can finally breathe around your family. Dad started his campaign the next day. Calls to relatives, painting himself as the victim. They ambushed me, he told anyone who'd listen. Turned my family against me. Most relatives had been there. They knew the truth. But some distant family bought his story. Your poor father, a great aunt called to tell me. Alone at Christmas. He chose to be alone, I said. By being cruel to everyone who loved him. Families should forgive, she insisted. Forgiveness requires repentance, I replied. He's never apologized for anything. Dad then tried financial manipulation. Claimed he'd cut us all from his will. Luke laughed when he heard. What will? Mom owns everything. He has nothing to leave. It was true. Dad's pride had prevented him from building his own wealth. He'd lived off Mom's inheritance and income while mocking her for working. Next came the health scare. Dad claimed he'd had a heart attack. Luke investigated. He went to the ER with chest pains, Luke reported. It was indigestion from eating too much at his mother's. Even his manipulation tactics were pathetic. A lifetime of coasting on fear and intimidation, he had no other skills. Almost feel sorry for him, I said to Emma one night. Don't, she said firmly. He never felt sorry for anyone else. January brought the baby shower Mom insisted on hosting. The first celebration in this house without fear, she called it. Emma's family came, finally comfortable after years of avoiding Dad. Your father was terrifying, Emma's mother admitted. We dreaded every interaction. He's gone now, Mom assured her. Forever. The shower was beautiful. Luke and David had decorated perfectly. No snide comments about waste or excess. Just joy for the coming baby. This is how family should be, Emma said, surrounded by love and gifts. This is how it will be, I promised. Our child will never know that kind of cruelty. During the shower, Mom's phone rang. Dad trying to crash the party. She declined the call and blocked him. Not today, she said simply. Not ever again. Luke had made a photo album of happy family moments. All recent, all without Dad. The beginning of our new history, he called it. We need new memories, Mom agreed. Ones worth keeping. The album already had dozens of photos from Christmas Eve after Dad left. Everyone looking genuinely happy for the first time in family photos. Our baby will have so many good memories, Emma said, touching her belly. Only good ones, Mom promised. I'll make sure of it. The baby arrived on Valentine's Day. A girl healthy and perfect. We named her Helen after Mom. She stood up when it mattered, Emma explained. That's the legacy we want. Mom cried when we told her. I don't deserve this honor. You deserve everything, Luke said. You survived 35 years and came out strong. Dad heard about the birth through family gossip. Sent a card to the hospital. Congratulations on my grandchild. Despite everything, I'm still her grandfather. Emma tore it up. He's nothing to her, she said fiercely. Biology doesn't make family. Love does. We agreed. Helen would have one grandfather, Emma's father, who'd been nothing but kind. The hospital asked about paternal grandfather for the birth certificate. Deceased, I said without hesitation. In every way that mattered, he was. Mom held Helen first after Emma and me. She'll never hear a cruel word from family, Mom whispered to the baby. I promise you that. Luke and David were next, already planning their role as uncles. She'll be so loved, David said. So protected. Not overprotected, Emma clarified. Just protected from cruelty. That's all any child needs, Mom said. Safety to grow into whoever they're meant to be. Spring brought the divorce proceedings. Dad fought everything as predicted. Demanded half of Mom's inheritance. Claimed the gambling losses were investments. Denied the affairs despite evidence. He's delusional, Catherine told us after a hearing. The judge isn't buying any of it. Luke attended every hearing, recording Dad's lies for posterity. Documentation, he explained. In case he tries to rewrite history later. Dad looked terrible. Months at his mother's had aged him. Grandma Reynolds was apparently even crueler than we'd imagined, constantly reminding him of his failures. Karma's real, Luke observed. And sometimes it's a 93-year-old woman who never learned to love. The judge ruled entirely in Mom's favor. House, retirement, investments, everything. Dad got his clothes and personal items. No alimony because of the financial fraud. He can appeal, Catherine warned. He will, Mom said. But he'll lose again. He always overplays his hand. Sure enough, Dad appealed. Demanded a new judge, claimed bias. The appeals court reviewed and dismissed within days. Frivolous, they called it. Without merit. Dad now owed Mom's legal fees too. Another $20,000 he didn't have. Where will he go? I asked Mom, still feeling unwanted sympathy. That's not my problem anymore, she said simply. He made his choices. Luke and David's wedding that May was everything family should be. Love, support, joy. No one missing Dad's presence. In fact, his absence made it perfect. No mean speeches, David joked. No drunken embarrassments. No cruel observations disguised as humor. Mom walked Luke down the aisle, glowing with pride. My brave boy, she whispered, loud enough for everyone to hear. Emma was my groomsperson, baby Helen sleeping in a carrier against her chest. Family is who shows up with love, I said in my speech. Everyone here showed up with love. Mom's speech was powerful. A year ago, I was too scared to protect the people I loved. Luke's courage gave me courage. Now we're all free to love without fear. The reception was at Mom's house, transformed with flowers and lights. The same room where Dad had mocked Emma was now filled with celebration. Redemption, Luke called it. Reclaiming our space. Our space was always good, Mom corrected. We just had to remove the poison. Dad had tried to crash the wedding, called the venue claiming there was a bomb threat. But Luke had anticipated this, hired security, warned the police. Dad was arrested for making false reports. He's his own worst enemy, the officer said. We see it all the time. Can't let go. Can't move forward. By Helen's first birthday, our family had completely transformed. Mom had redecorated the house, removing all traces of Dad. His chair was donated, his office became a playroom. She'd also started dating. A widower from her book club, kind and gentle. The opposite of your father, she said. I didn't know men could be soft. Luke and David had adopted a son. Marcus, 2 years old, traumatized from his birth family but healing with love. No child should endure what we endured, Luke said. We're breaking the cycle. Emma was pregnant again. Another girl. She'll grow up knowing her worth, Emma said, never questioning if she deserves kindness. I'd finally started therapy, dealing with decades of normalized abuse. You were trained to enable, the therapist explained. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to heal. The healing was slow but real, learning to recognize manipulation, to set boundaries, to protect instead of peacekeep. You're different, Emma told me. Stronger, more present, more myself, I said. Who I would have been without him. Dad was in jail now. Multiple violations of restraining orders, the false bomb threat, and attempted theft from Grandma Reynolds. Even she pressed charges, Luke reported. Said he was a disappointment to the end. The second Christmas without Dad was deliberately joyful. Mom insisted on reversing every tradition he'd corrupted. He hated colored lights, she said, stringing them everywhere. Said they were tacky. He hated Christmas music after dinner, Luke added, creating a playlist. Said it was noise. He hated children opening presents before the meal, Emma contributed. Said it was chaos. So we had colored lights, music all day, and children opening presents whenever they wanted. Beautiful chaos. This is Christmas, Mom declared. Joy without judgment. Love without conditions. Helen toddled around, 15 months old, squealing at the lights. Marcus, Luke's son, followed her protectively. Already bonded. They'll never know cruelty from family, David observed. That's the real gift. The only gift that matters, Mom agreed. We told stories that night, but not about Dad. About Mom's father who'd been kind. About Emma's family traditions. About the future we were building. Do you ever miss him? Someone asked Mom. I miss who I thought he could be, she answered. But that person never existed. So no, I don't miss him. Will you tell Helen about him? Emma asked. When she's older, Mom said. As a cautionary tale. How to recognize cruelty, how to stand against it. 5 years have passed since that Christmas Eve when Luke saved us all. Dad died in prison 2 years ago. Heart attack, alone. We found out through a news article. None of us attended the funeral. Grandma Reynolds had him cremated, disposed of the ashes without ceremony. Waste of money for a proper burial, she'd said. Even in death, she was cruel to him. Poetic justice. Mom remarried last year. Richard, the man from book club. He's everything Dad wasn't. Kind, supportive, loving. I didn't know marriage could be partnership, Mom told us. I thought it was endurance. The family has grown. Emma and I have 3 daughters now. Luke and David have 2 sons. Cousins are having babies. The house is full of children who will never know fear at family gatherings. Tell the story again, Helen asks sometimes. About Uncle Luke being brave. We tell her age-appropriate versions. How Uncle Luke stood up to a bully. How Grandma Helen found her voice. How families should protect each other. Was the bully sad? She asks. Probably, I answer. But being sad doesn't excuse being mean. Why was he mean? She persists. Some people choose meanness, Emma explains. We choose kindness. It's that simple for her generation. They're growing up with the choice being clear. This Christmas Eve, we gathered again in Mom's house. 43 family members just like that night 10 years ago. But everything's different. Luke stood to make a toast, as he does every year now. To the night that changed everything, he began. When we finally said enough. To Mom, he continued, who found her freedom. To Emma, who never deserved a moment of cruelty. To Nathan, who chose love over fear. To Luke, Mom interrupted, who saved us all with courage and preparation. To the children, Emma added, who will never know that kind of Christmas. We toasted, but Luke wasn't done. Every year I think about that night, how different things could have been if we'd stayed silent. If Emma hadn't been so visibly hurt. If Mom hadn't found her voice. If I hadn't been recording. If Nathan hadn't finally stood up, Emma added, squeezing my hand. We all stood up, I said. Eventually, that's what matters. Richard, Mom's new husband, raised his glass. To the family that chose love over fear, that chose truth over comfort, that chose each other over one man's ego. To choosing each other, we echoed. The children ran around, playing with new toys, safe in the chaos of loving family. This was Christmas. This was family. This was what we'd fought for and won. Dad's cruelty had ultimately created its opposite. A family bound by intentional kindness, protective love, and the shared triumph over tyranny. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, share this video, and activate the notification bell for more interesting stories.